To this, where the Special Investigating Unit has sold controversial businessman Hamilton Ndlovu's luxury home. And now, if the name is not familiar, you will remember that Ndlovu went viral for showing off his collection of luxury cars. Now, the SIU accepted an offer of 7.1 million rand for the house. It's believed that he purchased the property with money from illegal activities. Ndlovu allegedly irregularly scored a 172 million rand PPE tender back in 2020. So let's find out more now from SIU spokesperson Kaizer Kganyago, who joins me for this conversation. And Dr. Kganyago, thank you so much for your time and a very warm good morning to you. I think let's perhaps take it back to 2020 upon when, Hamilton Ndlovu received that approximately 172 million rand for a PPE contract. And that money, I understand, was paid for by the National Health Laboratory Services. Do we know how exactly he was awarded that particular PPE contract and where the irregularities lie that you found?
Thank you very much, and thank you to your viewers. What happened there at the time was that when we were investigating the PPE contracts in all government departments, we then got allegations from the National Health Laboratory Services that there are companies that were given these tenders without following proper processes. You'll remember at the time, we were having a situation of an emergency, and people had thought at the time that they would just bypass all the processes to give this. But when we then did the investigation at the time, we then got to the point where we found different companies that were allegedly at the time all belonging to Mr. Hamilton Ndlovu, and then they were then given these tenders, and when we followed the money went to him ultimately.
And I understand it was a huge portion of the money that went to him compared to the work that he was contracted for, which was supplying PPE, I understand, at the time. Take us through the numbers, perhaps, if you have them at your disposal. How much are we talking here in terms of what went to his personal use versus what was actually utilized for the PPE?
Yeah, it's a very difficult one because I don't have those figures now, but the bulk of, according to the investigators, the bulk of the money went to him as opposed to that, because it was different companies that were used in this particular instance, and then the money was followed into his bank account at the end. But obviously the problem was not necessarily that. It was the issue of how this procurement was done in the National Health Laboratory Service itself.
Yeah, and now fast forward, Dr. Kganyago, to the investigations being conducted, the National Health Laboratory Services trying to recover some of that money. Now enters this luxurious house, and I understand that even though you managed to get a 7.1 million rand offer to buy the house, it wasn't without hurdles. It wasn't without Hamilton Ndlovu actually trying to halt that process.
Yes, what happened was, the matter was taken to the special tribunal, and the special tribunal then ruled in January that all the things must be forfeited to the state, therefore we need to now recover. Then we started the processes. That ruling was confirmed in January, and then we started the process of trying to auction the house, and then that auction was done on the 4th of July, 2023. But we could not register the house because not Hamilton Ndlovu per se, but a company called Kaizer Kganyago, which is part of the companies that were involved, is the one that was owning this house, and it has got a director by the name of Nokuthula Mokoena, who was the sole director of this company. That company is the one that brought this matter in court to try and stop us to register this house to the person who has won the bid in terms of the auction, and that is why this matter then delayed. This court order was now issued on the 1st of September that said we dismiss the fact that this transaction of auctioning should not have happened, and therefore it paved the way for us to now register the house in the name of the person who won the bid.
And how soon can, the new owner have their name registered to the house, or has it already taken place?
At the moment, those are the processes that are happening because there's nothing that is hindering us from doing it now anymore. And that is why we only issued that statement now, to say now we can register this, and therefore this money will then be paid back to us, and we'll take it back to the National Health Laboratory Services.
Right. Dr. Kganyago, because we understand that, this investigation as well as, recuperating the 7.1 million rand of the house is all in an effort to try and recover the money. Where do you stand in terms of, trying to recover the entire 172 approximately million rand that was granted to Hamilton Ndlovu and his companies? Are you seeing more progress? Are you still pursuing, trying to cover the bulk of the money? And if so, where are the investigations leading to you now?
No, the investigations are done. What we are now dealing with is consequence management, and we are basically, we are not intending to get the whole 172. The court ruling was saying they must pay back 158 million of the 172 because the other money is the money that they used to purchase this PPEs at the time. Therefore, we are progressing very well, and obviously we will engage with them, because at the end of it all, people need to understand that it is not about the person. We don't have issues with the person, or we don't have issues with the companies. All that we want is to implement the order from the court, and if we can sit down and negotiate these issues and see how we can get the money from them, that's what we want to do, because we want to recover the money.
Yeah, but also understand there's also a bigger, effect here on the person and the company if there's a court order that you have confirmed as the SIU understand that it bans his companies from conducting any further business with the state. Surely that court order is still standing and it does affect his companies.
Yes, that is not done by us. We can only recommend, but it is the National Health Laboratory Services that must submit that to Treasury for the blacklisting. That we don't deal with that.
All right, I'll leave it there. And thank you so much for giving us some clarity and speaking to me this morning. SIU spokesperson, Mr. Kaizer Kganyago, thank you so much for your time.